Hello there, welcome again to some of this series of videos that I'm making on various aspects of piano technique. Today I thought we'd have a little look at double octaves, passages in music where you get octaves in both hands. I'm currently working again on Liszt's B minor sonata piece that I played several years ago, but which I'm doing in a concert in November in celebration of Liszt's 200th year. And so I've been working on the double octave passages here and thought I'd use that as a little kind of instruction video on how to do double octaves. Double octaves are probably one of the most difficult things that pianists face, and Liszt used them quite a lot, partly because they look visually very spectacular, and obviously Liszt liked to perform, you know, he was probably the first person who really invented the whole idea of the piano recital, piano concert. And he obviously liked to have pieces that kind of showed off his technique, as it were. The reason why they are so challenging, partly, is when your hand is playing an octave, obviously the fingers are quite well stretched, and that tends to cause the wrist and the arm and everything to tense up. However, in order to play octaves at a fairly fast pace, you have to keep the arm and the wrist and everything as loose and relaxed as possible, while keeping that shape nice and still all the time. First of all, the easiest way most people find for playing double octaves is to use the first and fifth finger when we're playing on the white keys, and the first and fourth when you're playing on the black keys. Having said that, you may need to adjust that for yourself. It depends a bit on obviously the span of your hand and what you feel comfortable with. But that's what most people tend to find easiest. And it's important to all the time keep the wrist nice and loose, so the movement really is from here. Now, looking at the passages in Liszt's Sonata, first of all, the important thing is, when you're practicing double octaves, if your hands start to ache, feel tense at any point, stop. Do something else, practice, let them relax for a little while, perhaps play something else for a little while, then come back to them. If you practice with tension, you're really kind of building up a bit of a bad habit, and obviously there's also problems with RSIs and other injuries, so it's important that we don't practice if we're getting any tension at all. And also, try to practice accurately. I think one of the common mistakes with any difficult passages is to go into it at a fairly fast tempo and play it with a lot of mistakes, and obviously every time you play a mistake, you're remembering that mistake for future occasions. So try as often as possible to play it accurately. And if that means taking it very, very slowly, then that's a good idea. Take it very, very slowly. I'm going to look at one of the double octave passages in the list. It's only a little 2-bar passage. That section there, which in performance might actually go a bit quicker than that. I'll give you some ideas of how you might practice it. First of all, slow practice. I always find a metronome really useful because it keeps me practicing it slowly. So I'm going to set my metronome initially to 80, and I'm just going to go through it very slowly, playing one note for each click. When you've got that, it's a good idea then perhaps to try it again with your eyes shut to make sure you've really learned the distances that the hand has to move and the shapes where it's moving to the black and white keys. It can be useful to have some what you might call grounding points. You'll notice when I played that, the first of each group of 4, I accented slightly, and that kind of helps the hand. I think somehow it seems to help the hand to know where it's about to go, so accenting first. And so on, which Liszt has actually marked in the music on this occasion as well. When you've got it that you can play it accurately at 80, then take your metronome, speed it up by 10 to 90. There we go. Try the same thing again. And so on. And again, try it with your eyes closed. And I think keep bit by bit speeding up from there. As soon as it starts to go wrong, try it a couple of times that speed, or maybe even slow it back down again. And hopefully eventually you'll get it up to the kind of tempo that you're aiming towards. Again, don't practice too much in one go. If your hands start to feel tired, your wrists tired, stop, come back to it at whatever tempo you left off at, or maybe a bit slower if necessary to just train the hands where to go again. You'll find it's something that you'll need to do continual practice on, and it is very difficult. Another thing that can be useful is to practice with the hands stretched, but only playing the fifth finger, sorry, not the fifth finger, but the top note, because sometimes it might be the fourth finger, so you go. And then doing the same with just the thumb. Just clipped another note there, so obviously you can go over that again if you do find you clip another note or make a slight error. Doing the same in the left hand. Some people find that quite useful. In order to put it up to speed, you might take a set group, say a group of 4, the first 4, going on to the first to the next group, and just try that to see if perhaps you can just get that group up to speed. Then maybe try the next group, then putting 2 groups together. That may be another way of working on it, and then gradually build it up. But I think overall, the key thing is the slow practice on it, really. Just to practice finding your way around the keys with the hands nice and relaxed, and then gradually speeding it up, and making sure as you speed it up, the hands stay nice and relaxed. If some of you have got any ideas on how to tackle double octaves, I'd love it if you would like to share those ideas, because I'm sure there'll be some of you will have ideas that I can use. But hopefully you found this helpful, and do feel free to sign up on my YouTube channel so you can get future videos. Have a look at my blog. There's one, jonathandelbridge.blogspot.com, another one, allthingspiano1.blogspot.com, which has got various material on piano technique.